Skiddly diddly do. Hi guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with Feesh CEO Brock McBlockchain. Everybody say hello to Dashi. Hello,
Hi,
Dashi.
Dashi.
And so since our last meeting, you have rolled out uh, quite the spectacle for Fiches, and you said that you're still just getting started. You've been at this for a while, but I think you've been public with Fiche for over a year now, right?
No. So the first I don't even really count it. It was like mid-November, late November. It was the 19th. We did the first mint. We kind of did like a silent mint. I didn't want it to be a FOMO thing where people were like freaking out. I knew we were going to kind of like secretly kind of launch it, let people get in, adjust, make sure everything was working right, and then just the hope was like word of mouth. So November, technically, I would say probably like December. Like even this year, like spoiler, if basically when you buy a Fiche, you're guaranteed 12 months of content. So that would technically be up in November, but I'm doing a December finale. But once it sells out, then it extends for a whole nother year. So it will not be the final finale anyway.
So when you say just getting started, how much of the original plans that you had for Fiche are fulfilled, and how much of that are you not going to fulfill, not because it's not a success, but because your plans have evolved and the community has evolved over the last 8 months?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I think in the space, there's a lot of people that, and you hear this in spaces and other places, there's this weird thing of like, oh, we sold out instantly. Look at this like pile of cash. Do we rug or not? Like, it's a weird thing. I think when you're put in that way, I did not do the project to like sell out or make money. Like I wanted it to be bigger, like NFTs and as a whole, not just specifically my project. And so when you say like how much, I delivered the whole roadmap that we originally had within 2 months. I had delivered like the tanks and functionality like before I even minted. So the project was already kind of like a success from the point of a backer, because you get exactly what you say. You don't have to like, I'm going to give you money and then hope that I get it later. You just instantly got it with me. And so then, yeah, after that, I was like, crap, I guess and people are like, what's the roadmap? I'm like, we had one, I did it all. Like, so what do you want? Like, and so I was like, all right, fine, let's go out. And without like the game was never on the roadmap, but people are like, it would be really cool if like, da 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 da. I was like, well, these Fiche, they all have battle suits. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, they fight each other. And then I kind of just leaked that I was making a game. So probably I want to say like December, I kind of started the pieces that I need to put together to do it. And then juggling that, delivering content, delivering extra stuff on top. But yeah, no, just getting started. I mean, we just signed a nice partnership. So the game will be kicking off soon for like the big beta thing. I'm getting into that later, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff. Like the movie that we're producers of has a special announcement that's coming. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And slowly, I don't know, like this project's a creative outlet for me that allows me to, even with like the bear market or whatever, people are hanging out on the Fish Board, enjoying it, having fun. Like I think it's been a distraction and like an entertainment thing more than anything. So being able to create that. I mean, just yesterday, someone's like, I want to get a Fiche tattoo. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. So yeah, I mean, like it's wild, but the community is kind of one of the legs of the table, if you will. That kind of is the wild card that I wasn't expecting. But I've delivered everything that I said I was going to, and now it's kind of just like it's the bonus on the bonus on the bonus. And just I still am putting some things together that could be pretty big. So we'll see what happens.
I wish you were at NFT NYC, because you were talking about how this is like a break from the overall like recession, bear market, and the room's on fire type of deal. And at NFT NYC, there was like no talk of the price of ETH or the price of like any project, the floors of projects. It was all just hope and hype that like, hey, we're this accumulation period, people are still raising funds and whatever. You mentioned the partnership before, that you were talking about the OMI partnership, right?
I'm sure that was the one I meant. Yeah.
Okay, all right. But then you mentioned another surprise one. Is that going to be something that is also associated with OMI?
Oh, are you hinting like, do I have something with Veve? Is that what you're saying or asking me?
Yes.
Yeah. So this has been out because the Veve team and I have been friendly, and I've helped them out early days, Go Chain, like we were working together. I've helped with beta. I've helped with ideating things, like things that people like. I've been talking to Dan and gave those ideas, and they come to fruition, right? So with that said, I don't want anyone to buy a Fiche thinking like, oh, they know each other. It's obviously going here. So don't do that. And then it's different if an announcement or something comes out, but like, don't plan on that. I don't want to pull like a favor to do it. But I mean, I would say the reverse though. If they ever made the call and were like, hey, we see what you're doing with Fiche. We would love to have you in Veve. That's cool. I would do that. But they've got a lot on their plate, and I don't want to say like, oh, Disney, Fiche, obviously neck and neck as far as IP goes. This is a fun project for me. I know that like early days before people saw it, David I was showing him like what I was making before the game. I was showing him like certain story elements I was showing him, and he was like losing his mind and WhatsApp and stuff like that. So like he's a fan, he has Fiche, he enjoys it. And I think like, again, for him, it's when he's doing the craziest probably thing we could ever imagine day in, day out, he's like laughing at Fiche stuff just along with everybody else. So knowing that is great. But yeah, we have a partnership with eComi. We do not have a partnership with Veve. And this whole project has been doing things differently and trying to push the limits. And so even if I was to go and do something with the Veve, I would probably want to do it way different than whatever. So again, don't buy a Fiche if the only reason why you're buying it is for the Veve stuff. I think there's a whole lot of extra stuff along with the core experience that is enjoyable. We're seeing kind of like these slow wheels of things and momentum growing behind the project as someone jumps in, enjoy it, freak out at all that you kind of get and the whole experience, tell somebody, that pulls in more people. It's all word of mouth. I'm probably the only project person that will tell you like, no, chill, don't mint right now. Gas is high. Like it's not about money. So it's easy for me to do that. So, but yeah, I'm not trying to waffle about this, but yeah. So I mean, could it happen? Sure. But don't count on it, I guess, as being the reason why you enter the project.
So that's another thing you brought up before, which I wanted to mention. And I was talking to one of the project leaders at Neopets yesterday,
mm-hmm.
where I was just saying that, hey, they mentioned customizability with some of the Neopets. I was like, oh, that'd be a really good idea, because if you have, let's say, like 4,200 of the Neopets, and a bunch of them are the same, and you could make them one of ones, the customizable hat or whatever, and you could charge their Neopet token that they're coming out with. And you could very much do the same with Fiche and OMI. Like you could have charged for the mech suits and you could charge for other things, and you don't. And I feel like because you are a lot of times going out on Twitter, it's like, hey, bought more OMI, bought more of this. You could charge, even if it's just a couple dollars, to get some of those. Why don't you charge?
I think it's not fun. Like I wanted to my goal with Fiche is to do like the maximum value, right? And so if I'm like, cool, you bought this thing, and now as a feature, you now have the ability to pay for something else. Like that's not a feature. That's like you're just trying to get like reoccurring revenue, right? Like that's a different deal. And so for this, it's you buy the Fiche. I ran the numbers. I rock bottom the price to be able to do what I thought would be a fun experience. And so yeah, and right now it's a ridiculous price with Ethereum and gas being lower. There are people that are getting in for like under $40, which great, congrats on you. For me, I now have to hustle even more to try and do it, but I don't think that downturn in the market should come it should come out of the people that are supporting the project. Like I just don't. I'll figure that out if I need to, pay for certain things or whatever the case that's coming soon. That like I'll figure that out. And so yeah, it's just different. I think that I want to be that case study that shows that you can do something completely against the rules that we've established in the short amount of time. Like there are no definites. That's bullshit, right? Like I'm doing it different, but different now might be the way that things always go in the future. And so I don't really believe, not knocking people that do like microtransactions or whatever, like I'm able to make it happen. And so I would much rather be creative and come up with a way, even like this inventory management system that just dropped, it's gasless. And because I didn't want someone to enjoy the fun of combining these two things or these 5 things together to unlock this secret thing that then you combine with this whatever, like that untangles the story and maybe leads to a crazy treasure hunt or something like that. I didn't want them to have to pay gas along the way if I can avoid it. So even the way the project is set up from an architectural side, you mint the Fiche. That's pretty much it, unless you want to sell things or whatever. And people do that like crazy. There are people that like, buy 10 Fiche, flip half of their airdrops, and then make a profit. Like, hey, awesome! I'm excited that like basically people are making a crazy return on some of these things that I just give them for free as the perk of the project. So it's interesting to see how that's evolved as well and how it might evolve in the future.
Something I did want a little bit of clarification on when
Sure.
you have you had made a post, or the Fiches made a post saying that you had just swept the airdrop floors and took about 10 of the airdrops off the floor, and then you'd be giving those airdrops on the Fiche cord in X amount of times, or in X amount of time. Do you purposely make sure that like, hey, I just bought your Fiche, or I just bought your airdrop, so I don't want to give you the same thing that I just bought because that'd be double dipping, or is it just random?
No, I mean, like that. I think that's a surprising side effect is that the community has taken on a little bit. And I'm not saying like because I'm so great, the community, like that's not what I'm fucking saying. But because I'm lucky enough that the community has kind of jumped in and seen how I kind of behave of like, oh, I'll just fix it if something's wrong, or you know what, you said that like you have a Fiche, but you're okay. I'll use a real example. Somebody within the community, I believe, is married to a teacher, and the teacher was trying to explain blockchain to her students. And so she saved up and bought 20 Fiche, I believe, and I'm probably loose on this, and now is teaching her students blockchain through Fiches. That is fucking crazy to me. And that's cool. It is a pleasant side effect. So I believe I donated like some more Fiche to try and make it happen, because I don't want, especially if it's going to like education or whatever, like that's something that like I'll pay for it out of my own whatever. I'll offset the funds that I was counting on to figure that out. But like that's really cool, right? And so I think from seeing some of those like more giving natures, the community has just taken that to the maximum. And if you join the Fiche Cord and you jump on now, please don't go on and be like, hey everybody, I'm new, give me things. I don't know why I went super southern with that. But usually if you're new to the Fiche Cord, and you show off your Fiche or your tanks, some of the community members that have extra airdrops sometimes are very giving and will say, oh, well, you just missed this last airdrops. I've got doubles here, take this one. And so like, it's just really cool to see that kind of stuff. And people are jumping in and feeling more confident about blockchain, learning how multiple chains work, so it's all these kind of just rippling side effects from having a community like ours.
So I really love a lot of the lore behind the Fiche and how like humans, they were surprised. Fiche and humans were both surprised to find each other. What is the most recent thing? Like, how far has the story progressed as far as the mech suits? They're training for a fight, and have you said anything about the lore in which there might be like, how in movies there's like a, oh, this is possibly the villain, but then, oh, it's not the villain. Like King Kong versus Godzilla, it's supposed to be that, but then they both team up to fight Mecha Godzilla. Is there a lore behind the Mighties and the Tokidokis coming in? Like, hey, you guys might not want to fight the humans. We're coming here to warn you that there's a bigger thing to fight.
Yeah, I did hear your video where you kind of suggested that. I will probably say that when I try and do something, usually there's a very specific purpose. And so when I was planning this, like, what is this content, or what is the story or the lore behind it, and how do I really unfold it, and what kind of events, I wasn't saying, and Tokidokis will be at the center of it, because that would require like the linchpin being on interoperability, and knowing when that's going to fall would be tough to manage. And so I don't think that Tokidoki would enter into the story. I think that might be a little bit outside, or like over the line, if you will, on IP infringement. However, if you own an NFT and you can take it off, say, Veve, and then I can read your wallet and see that you've got that, and that unlocks like a playable character in the arena, or a specialized mech suit that then has your Tokidoki inside of it, and whatever, that would be pretty cool. Because some people have Fiche, other people will not want to jump into the Fiche, but may want to play in the arena, and so you'll have kind of a default mech if you do that once it goes public.
Yeah.
But if you have Veve NFTs, then maybe you can use those instead as your playable character. And then I've talked this before, like the gameplay that is out right now is very much the PvP version, so player versus player. But I've got probably 5 or 6 other game modes that are in active kind of development. And so as long as the people are cool with the arena and it's being used, then I'll keep extending that alongside the game as well. And so again, just pushing the value. So I think like a single player will probably be up first, because sometimes I think when there's tournaments going, you'll see different. In beta though, there was times where like, oh, it's half the world sleeping right now, and so it's hard to get a match if you live in certain countries. So being able to jump in and do like a single player mode and still have some fun, I think will be fun, and burn some OMI, have a chance to win a bunch of OMI. I think that's the logical next step. But then maybe it's player versus some big or bad, like you were saying, where those Tokidokis get into some giant mech suit that you have to team up and take out the whole entire set, and if you win, then maybe when operability is here, I can shoot you Veve collectibles if you win, stuff like that.
That would be good. Oh god. So we've gone into, or you've had the OMI wagers, and there's no, at some point would it be also you could wager, I guess, whatever's in your wallet, and if your wallet has Veve NFTs, could you wager Veve NFTs as well?
Yeah, so the thing with it is that Veve actually kind of like lends to would be, I have a Walt, and that's probably like super high tier, Walt versus Walt. Maybe it's a Cora versus a Cora or whatever. But because they are the same, like the token ID is different, like, so because it's my NFT and your NFT, they're not interchangeable. But I can see the metadata whenever that comes. I can see like that this is a Cora, this is a Cora. So now it is a fair wager. Like, right, like, it's not a fair wager match if it's 10 OMI versus 1,000 OMI. That's not a wager. So like if it's matching values, then yeah, we'd be able to do that within interoperability. So basically you'd say, I'm going up for this, maybe each person pays a little OMI that gets burnt, or half into the prize pool that's growing or whatever. And then they get escrowed, and then whoever wins gets both.
What was the biggest match you've seen so far?
Like OMI amount, or like rounds where they went toe to toe kind of thing?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking. I guess both. Do OMI first, and then
OMI people I think have been taking it lightly through beta. So I think the most was like a 1,000 match, so 1,000 OMI versus 1,000 OMI. But I think that a lot of that comes from just like, why I want the points, or I want to go higher. There are some people that do want to go higher, but when they set up a 10K match, so like people have tried bigger matches, but I think because people are still learning it and whatever, no one joins, right? No. And so then they have to cancel and get the refund, which happens instantly. But yeah, that's so I don't think we've seen big value amounts just yet, but I think the more it gets people in there, the more competitive. When there's like I said, this is a remix and like the best way of a previous game. It got pretty wild when we were doing it before, where there was a lot of wagers going on, and so I think the competitive nature will get the best of some people, and some people will win, some people will maybe end up a little lighter. But again, that's your choice. You don't have to play a million OMI matches. You can play 10 OMI matches, 10 like 100, like whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, and it's meant to be friendly wager, not I'm gonna wager my whole life savings. Please don't do that. But yeah, so that's that. And then as far as rounds go, I think in beta the most rounds that we saw was like a 70 round match. And so like if you're not familiar with the game, it's make a move, you make a move, and so it's literally watching this like tug of war match. And like I've seen it go where like one person has like 10 HP, or like right before getting to 12, so they're one heal away from winning. Take them to 2 HP, and the person that's 2 HP like on the ropes basically anyway, come back and win, because it's never over until it's over. And that's the fun of it, I think, is it's just figuring out your opponent, getting in their head a little bit, and countering what you think they're going to move. And there's like predictability, understand like psychology, like I don't know. It can just be I always block and be simple, but it can also get really, really creative and complex, and where people are like screaming at their computers or phones in the middle of the night, and you're like, what's wrong? It's like, they blocked. Like, so it gets intense.
I could picture that happening, like especially when people are drunk or live streaming. Like I would love it if we have some people like live streaming it on like Twitch or on YouTube, and just having like big tournaments.
Yeah.
In something like that, like that 70 rounds is such a long time. But would you have eventually, like sometimes in casinos, if you're playing in the poker room, like, okay, if you have high hand, like aces full of kings, or if you have quad, whatever, for this hour or this day or whatever, you get a little like bonus of what people put into, what the fees that they collect. Would it be, and American Express does that too, if you make like a giant purchase, they give you like a certain little thing. If you see like a match for like 1 million or 10 million OMI, would be like, you know what, you guys get an extra Fiche. Or if you see a match going like 100 something rounds, it's like, okay, you guys get an extra airdrop or something.
So yeah, you bring that up, and there's always going to be these like, oh, here's an idea. So like the game is going to continue to kind of level up, if you will. But there are going to be achievements, and so I'm looking right now on how I can make it to be like, say you go over a 50 round match, but where people aren't like cheesing it, where it's like, I'm gonna block and you do that, like where we're just like faking it to get the achievement. But there will be achievements. I don't think the achievements, like one of the counters to that is giving them just like you get a sticker, basically, right? Like you can show it off on your Fiches profile, which profiles are out now, and then so that's one thing. The other thing though would be a part of the tournaments themselves. Right now, everything that comes in goes right back out. And so that's great, but that's the OMI side. I do think that there will be, I don't know if you've seen it, but we already have customizable accessories that like that functionality is done. I'm now in the asset creation part of that, to where we'll be making a bunch of different assets so that you can like make your mech yours. Like it already looks like your Fish, but eventually you'll be able to put like a pirate eye patch on it, or like have it have like long hair, and then combine multiple of those to kind of build your look. And then for the first 1,000 Fiche that came in, all of those accessories are getting airdropped to them. And so if anybody wants them, they'll have to kind of buy them on the secondary, basically. But then behind that is skins. So the first 2,500 Fiche will be getting a huge skin pack drop that will change their mech suits. And so combining the skins and the accessories, you'll be able to kind of customize your mech. But outside of those, there will be prizes for certain tournaments where the champion might get a belt that's put on their metadata. And then they can like stuff like that. So there's a lot of fun things that I hope to just push it. So like updating metadata with your win-loss record, so that you can see like this is an undefeated Fish, and like someone might want that just to flex or whatever. Or this Fish has not won a game ever. Like maybe that's what you want. On mind games, play with their heads. But yeah, and then beyond that, just there's layers to it. And so I hope to give away maybe special accessories, special things for your like the arena and the Fiches sites are disconnected right now through beta. They'll kind of be connected, like the URLs are going to stay separate, but you'll be able to just through the navigation get to either. But you might win a tournament, or because you participate in a tournament, you get one airdrop, and if you placed in the top 20, you get a different airdrop. And like so there will be extra kind of perks throughout the time to reward players. Yes.
So I think this definitely stays with you, but there was a thing in Pokemon, the second generation, that was a move called Return and a move called Frustration. And the better bond you had with your Pokemon, it would work really well for the move Return. And the worse relationship you had with your Pokemon, it would work really well with Frustration. I think that some of the psychology with some people that would be like, oh my God, this Fiche has never won a match. I want to bring it in my tank and see what it likes, whether it likes the red light or the blue light. I like you've even said before, have your NFTs touch you, and look at this little dapper Dan right here.
Yeah, it's hard to see in that photo, but yeah, he's got a little top hat on. Yeah, that was the first accessory that I wanted to put something silly in, and then I think I role played on the Fish cord as like I don't know why. And I was like, cheerio, chap, let's go to the battle, and like started like just talking, like just role playing in the text chat, and then battling people for like I think I did like 3 or 4 matches. So yeah, it's just about having fun. And then some people that want to play the OMI track, or you just play for fun and then you might win OMI. Like, I don't know. It's all about that, I think.
So also we did have I think I don't know if it was Ring the Bell or the No Fiche that had sold or had been traded for two I think these are Frank Kaziks, and I think it sold for two of them, and they were both one of ones. How do you feel that one Fiche is equal to that?
So to be clear, because although thank you if that was true, I wish that was true. I really respect Frank's stuff. I don't think that that will ever be true, but that's a nice thought. But what got traded is one of my mini fish projects. It was like an art that I did
Oh, gotcha.
before Fiches. That the reason why it has value is because if you own one of those, I meant this as thank you for supporting me, but I think people now are seeing it as like, I want that because I want the side effect, like the perk that I get for it. So please don't FOMO into things. I mean, do what you want, but it was not a driver to drive up the value of my previous work.
Oh no,
But yeah,
yeah, I know you had nothing to do with it. It's just some of the people in the Fiche community wanted that, and I think Taps had
yes,
them. He had three of them, and then it was well, his most coveted was this Koi Boy, but the Koi Boy, he's like, nah, I'm keeping that.
yeah. So if you have
But
any of those, see how they all have like the neon shapes in them.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you own one of those, then you get a set of 3 neon shape accessories in your tank. So you get these like levitating neon shapes that I think I have them in my tank, and so people see them often. They're like, how do I get that? And then like all, back then, I didn't think my art was going to be like, so I think they're like editions of 3 or 4. And so they're super limited. I will say that that is a series of 6, or that's what it was meant to be. And so
mhm.
I'm debating on. I'm going to one day finish that art set. And if people want them, I will keep them at the same price, which I think was like 0.01 ETH. Like again, I wasn't trying to make money off of them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'll keep the price low, and then I might extend the edition sizes just to try and get more people in there, because I don't know. I don't want to bring down the value of collectors, but they also got it for a really cheap price. So
It's a good point. I just linked it's Fiches.com, right? That is the Fiche
yes,
link.
that's the
Okay,
men's, and
cool.
then it's Fiche Arena if you want to get into the game.
Yeah, so
And then Fiche Cord, it's just Fiches all the way. FicheCord.com is the Discord where you can get all the links, talk to the community, see tanks and like what people have created with all these airdrops and stuff like that. I would recommend go to the Fiche Cord first, and then you can get everything else. That's the easiest way.
okay. So you hear that, right? Raythax was I don't want to say a pioneer. He was very early to Earth 2 and Axes and a bunch of ETH names. Like one of his ETH Raythax.eth is up there. Made a
Nice.
ton of money with that. And I think Raythax, he knows a really good deal when he sees one. Probably
Oh
going to be able
yeah.
to do that.
Well,
So
no pressure though.
when I go to Fiches.com, how do you get the chicken?
That's the early bird. If you minted before the first airdrop, then everyone got one of those early birds. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
literally a scuba diving rooster.
Oh, it's a scuba rooster.
Yeah, it's the early bird, but it's also secretly a dick joke.
yeah. Oh God. Okay, I got you. So I haven't done the OMI battles yet. How does one go, and did you just do a video on it? How to
So I've been doing some videos because we're getting a little serious where like the beta tournament will probably start Friday. But anyway, we'll talk about that later.
okay.
Yeah, so the way to play is you go to fisharena.com. Right now you have to have a fish to participate in beta.
Mhm.
It's really just a small 1-foot fence to keep it beta before I have to control like thousands of people that just want to play the game. So the public release will come after the beta tournament. The beta tournament's kicking off very soon. Something tells me. And so yeah, to play, you can play either from your phone or a a computer, and you can actually. I've designed it to where as long as you're connected on both. I've had games where I've been playing on my computer. They start running long. I pull up the match on my phone and I finish on my phone. So it is like real time live. So you can just play wherever you want. You can even switch back and forth mid match. I've tested that. So yeah, fishcore.com, or excuse me, fisharena.com, and then you connect to Immutable X. I will say that Immutable X is a little bit different than what you might be used to, especially on mobile. On desktop, it should be pretty straightforward.
Okay.
On mobile, you use your mobile browser, not MetaMask. Most people are used to going into the MetaMask app, using the browser. Just go to your Chrome or your Safari or whatever, and then click connect. And then when it pops up, for whatever reason, it'll say, do you want to use MetaMask? And you're like, no, I want to use something else. They have like an option for like other connections. Click that, then pick MetaMask. I don't know why. The mobile for them is a little bit new. As they smooth the IMX kind of connectivity, I'll keep updating if as I can. But once you click that, it'll pop open your MetaMask, sign, and then you're connected. Then going forward, all you have to do is pull up fisharena.com on your mobile browser, and you can just play. So it's kind of like a little bit of friction to get connected. After that, you're good.
Okay. So the comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Why do you have the comments turned off on your videos?
Which one? Oh, for like the help ones. I'm not trying to become a YouTuber. I just made videos, and they were too big of a file size to upload. So I mean, I'll turn on the comments, but it doesn't. It was probably just I uploaded the video. And
I just wanted to whisper sweet nothings into your comments.
Oh, you can do that anytime, I'm sure. But yeah, if give us the comments on the tutorial that's really nerdy and in depth. Sure, okay. Well, I'll turn them on.
Thanks, Ed. So switching gears a little bit here. Sure. Somebody asked Foster if we hit bottom for OMI. Foster says, I'm not the guy to ask if we hit bottom. You just see OMI, and if I have money, he buys it. You are, for the most part, pretty much the same. You were buying at 0.005. You bought, obviously, super early, and you have been still buying over the last couple of months. I'm guessing you don't try to time the bottom either, right? Just whenever you have extra money.
So I have an NDA. However, based on just public information alone, if the MCP 0.1 came out and we're like, what the crap? This is terrible. And then they put out 1.0 and we're like, yes, this is the best thing ever. OUP came out and people were like, I'm still excited even better. OUP 1.0. So, I mean, I don't know, but you also have to know that coming from the perspective, at one time I bought at a price, and at the like all-time high, it was like 70,000% up. And so when someone's like, why are you buying? It's 5% up. Wait until it comes up. Fuck you, 5%. I don't care. Like, I'm going to use this OMI. There's going to come a point where I believe there will be a supply shock. People think I'm a madman moon boy. There's 750 billion coins. What do you mean supply shock? Like, trust me. I think there's going to be a time in which there is a supply shock. So I would rather stack it up now below a penny, below 5 cents, below 10 cents, below whatever. I still think it's going to be better than where it may end up. That's my gut feeling, based off just publicly available information. And that's what I'm, So I throw this out also. People on Twitter do like to leave super good comments about the generated like community-driven games. Mine as well is one of those community-driven games. You know, I didn't have to make a game. I made a game because I wanted to give more value. If you don't like the game, don't fucking play it. But you know what my game's going to do is going to burn a fuck ton of OMI. So are these other games. And so play them if you would like. Don't play them. It doesn't matter. Don't knock these like other games that are going in there, or even my game, when all it's doing is helping you burn OMI, right? Straight from circulation. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to probably get comments about it, but it doesn't matter because the games exist and they will come in addition to what's coming for Veve.
Yes, I agree 100%. I mean, there's already a couple of people that have made games that burn OMI. Some of them are actually kind of fun. One of them is actually really hard. And it's so I like the hard one because it makes it so that you watch more ads because you die a lot quicker. So one of the things that I am really liking is that because OMI is so cheap right now, and a lot of people don't really haven't had a lot of money, you know, to get let's say $5,000 worth of OMI right now, or even let's say $5,000 worth of OMI. That is good, you know, that's a couple of mortgage payments, but not impossible to get. I feel like a lot of people could do that. And $5,000 worth of OMI is only a couple million OMI, but at some point over the next year or two, when it does a 20x and OMI goes from 0.0014 to still less than 3 cents, you suddenly have $100,000 worth of OMI, and at $50,000, the highest staking tier, you'd have no issue staking that and then keeping the rest, and then spending it. And then at that point, and OMI goes up another 10x, or even let's just say 1x. Suddenly you don't have $50,000 staked. You have a couple $100,000 staked. So I definitely understand with the supply shock.
Yeah, but I also think, like, okay, even with all that aside, like, what do we know is right now the team is working on OMI to NFT. I believe they've said is like the next big thing after cash out. Cash out. If you check Twitter, a couple noisy people haven't got it. They've still got some time. Even if it comes by the end of the month for everybody, no one is going to care once they have it. People are only whining right now because they're seeing other people have it, but not me. So it can't be. Veve hasn't delivered. I don't know. Maybe I just don't care, because I've seen all of these things where no market, no app, no Veve at all. Like, I've seen all this come to pass, so it's just a matter of time. But just throwing all that aside, if OMI to NFT is the next thing that's coming, all of the prices of collectibles right now are very low. OMI is very low. Buying OMI, as it starts to just naturally come up, even if it does just a 2x, I've now doubled my buying power at low prices. I'm going to go in, wait, as others probably follow in. The Veve collectibles would be good. I can now sell when OMI dips at the same USD value as everybody else, or the floor price, get more OMI. When OMI climbs, I can now just rebuy the thing that I wanted and now have it pocket the difference. And there's all these gains that are going to be coming where you can, because there's like 3 different currencies, there's the OMI on the market, there's OMI within the app, and then like the Veve NFTs, you'll be able to play all those things together to kind of make wakes to where you're doubling your Veve collectibles. Whereas we look at doubling the coin value. What if I can do these flips back and forth, even if it's a 10% gain after fees or whatever, 10 times, I now have a second item, right? And so now I can flip that back into OMI. And so anyway, there's going to be people that ride these waves back and forth. And just like you see on exchanges, you're going to start to see tons of whale games for like, oh, this collectible tanked, and then everyone flows into it, and then, oh, this one's pumping. Everyone, like, just like you see on the markets, there is a market on Veve, and I'm sure there'll be a little bit of manipulation for the people that can, but you can benefit as a side effect. I don't think that it should be a deterrent from, if you feel like something's worth the price and you want it, then go after it. But just also know there's a lot of other games being played around you, and you can use those to your benefit or maybe not. So for me, I think having extra OMI that I can touch and use without like taking tax implications or whatever from things that I've held for a long time, that for me just is a no-brainer. But I'm sure there might be more things in that OUP article if we just look at the difference between the MCP article and the OUP. And of course, it sounds like the article, at least some of it, includes OMI to NFT, because that's what they're supposedly working on. So yeah, we'll see.
I've had some really good luck over the last year-ish, and on getting like people think like, oh, this is just a random NFT. Meanwhile, it's a really special mint number, and I could snipe it. And a lot of times I would go and buy some of those things, and then as it goes up and the real value is recognized, I would flip it for OMI. You have gotten in very, very early for the Veve NFTs. Have you sold some stuff for OMI? Do you plan on selling stuff for OMI? Is there anything you want to save that is like, you know what, I have enough OMI. This is mine.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting paradigm. I think right now, like, I was screaming for a while, like, I think OMI is the undervalued thing now, and so I'm not buying as many like grails or whatever. If I like it, I will still grab it. I'm still buying from the app, so I'm not saying that like I've stopped buying collectibles. I still just buy what I feel like if it's within my means. And so, but I do think that like there is taking the eye off the ball a little bit with looking at some of these season 1 things, or if you have the ability to get like a low mint of something. Like I've been looking at things that are low mints now, where most of the people that have listed it have listed low mints in like the thousands, but then there's like a small little like person that seems like they're desperate to get out for either cash out reasons or whatever the case may be, where they see a low valued like Vader or something like that. And so that it's everyone else like at 5K and this person's like $400. Okay, I'll take that off your hands, because I remember what I've got experience in low mints, and I know where those things can go too, right? And so have I sold some? Yeah, I offloaded a couple of my super early things early on for some more OMI. I'm not actively trying to like downgrade everything, but if someone made me a crazy offer on like, I have a set of everything season 1 sub 100 right now in this market, that would be a tough call. But if the price was right, I might for OMI at this price, because I just think that OMI is going to go up, and then if I can amplify my buying power, I can go back and hopefully find at least some of the pieces of those people that are in desperation or slightly above, and just wipe those and rebuild at least part of my set. And then in a weird way, I'm back to like the thrill of the chase that I had early days, like trying to wait and like constantly refreshing the market, looking for people to post like the mint number that I wanted. And so there's some fun in that. So yeah, I would consider it, but on the flip side, like it's also my collection. And I think I've positioned myself to where that collection is almost a one-of-one collection. Like there are certain people that have things that are comparable here and there, but to have one of everything sub 100 with some of like the special mints that I've got, not the 19s, but like, for example, people don't really realize this, but in most cases, like the Batman Black and Whites, the Todd is number 1, Riso I think is number 1, Todd's 100. So it's kind of like the beginning and the end of the Black and White in one set. But throughout there, they each have numbers. And so for some of them, I have like the number, I think it's the Nightwing, it's like 79. I have the number 79 of that. So it's like a dual 79. Like, so these things that are like, that is literally a one of the matching number mint that's sub 100. I don't know. I think you were talking with Mr. Pags about some of these like mint, like tiers or whatever. And I think there's just some things that are just like, you can find these really, really special gems where this number matches this, or this, like, and some people will go and find dates that match the dates of the release and stuff like that. And I think that when there's 7,500 of something, it seems like there's a lot. But then when you zoom out and you see there's millions and millions of people, that's not a fuck enough. But then how do you get to like, how do you play now where it's somewhat attainable? And again, I'm not trying to say that everyone can go out and buy a Todd. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But like right now, it at least from where we've seen it be even somewhat recently to now, it's way more approachable and obtainable. So finding a way to get something extra special now for a slightly less premium for the next big wave, and the more and more people that are coming in, yours is going to go sell more quickly in some ways, as long as you're realistic in your price. I mean, you can't go, this number matches this number, it's $8 million. Like, okay, good luck to you. But there is a way where we're going to see more and more people that want to have their collection stand out. And I think mint numbers is a super good way to do that, both on the low end, on the high end, specialty like repeating numbers or whatever the case may be.
So there's one of the things that I really like.
That is a nice Fiche name. That is probably hilarious. Like people, so you can turn on. I invented portals for Fiches because I didn't want someone that only had the means to buy one Fiche to never have the full tank experience. And so if you turn on portals, Fiche will travel. Yours can go visit, but you can turn on name tags as well to see people's names. So when these Fiche visit, you can see. I tell you, the community has some of the like silliest, like funniest, most awesome names. So yeah, that's another side effect where I'll chuckle when like investigating something like, oh, Gil Cosby did whatever. Yeah, so it's fun to see everybody's creativity come.
We are Fiche as well, right? There was I think Clever Jerk had minted Fiche with a bunch of the YouTubers and project leaders' names. So it's me, Mr. Pags, you, I think Taps, and
that's
a couple
awesome.
of other people.
I think I have seen that. Yes, it was a while ago though, and yeah, that's I don't know. I think it's cool whether it's getting a tattoo or literally someone's kid is going to school and learning about Fiche and as a way of learning about blockchain. Like all these just like crazy side effects of creating something, doing it different, but making something that people can connect to, and then breaking their heart. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. Yeah. It's been a great journey, but again, I'm still just getting started.
Yeah, the comments, like the communities have me laughing all the time, like whether I'm on stream, like or like at night alone or with you. It just I get a lot of really fun stuff. So you're mentioning and this goes in one of the mech suits that you could probably put the mighties in. One of the things I really like to do is find what the younger generation is doing, and a lot of people don't like the cards, the Disney lenticular cards, because some of the artwork is like newer. It's not the old school version of Goofy or Mickey. So I looked at Mickey Mouse cartoon on Disney Plus, and I went and search for that on YouTube, and it's got like 150 million views for that. And then I did the same thing for
Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and
Spidey's
his
Amazing
friends.
Friends.
My kids watch that show, right? So like, I think that as much as there's the nostalgia factor, I think for a lot of people that have been collecting, I think that makes it extra special. But you have to also realize that someone's next nostalgia is happening in real time right now, right? Like, so my kids might not know Mickey Mouse how I remember in the old days where he was racist. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I've not slept. The newer version, like, to me, like, the art style is almost like reminiscent of like Ren and Stimpy kind of like look and feel to it, kind of thing. Or what is it, Bill and Mandy's like Grim Adventure? Like, it's got this like almost like darkish vibe to like the way that they're drawn, which I think is cool. But the kids are just like, my kids are just, okay, I'll just watch this or whatever. And the Spider and Amazing Friends, I've even, like, as a parent, critique the shit out of it, because that is almost a reskin of what's it called? PJ Masks. If you look at it, like, even episodes, there's like 3 kids. Now it's 3 different Spider-Men. Like, the storylines are very similar. 3 bad guys and that are interchangeable throughout. Like, anyway, but like, so just knowing that and like watching my kids grow up and what they're into, I don't know. I think the Mighties are not for everyone. Tokidoki gets like dunked on by certain people, but like, they fail to realize that without Tokidoki, you would not have Marvel. Tokidoki was the first brand that took a chance with Veve and made it into a real thing. Like, they saw the vision early. So like, I have great like, I collect Tokidokis, but you also have to realize the flip of that. Like, again, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. The flip of that is the Veve effect, and it's something that few people have really spoken to, I think. But it's going to become bigger and bigger and bigger as we go on. Where today like, when you join, you might not have known Tokidoki, but like, a bunch of 30-plus-year-old males do know about a Myrmicorns, believe it or not, and you see it in Target, and you're like, "Oh, a Myrmicorn," and someone will come next to you, like, "What did you say, sir?" Like, such is life. But yeah, it's going to break new brands. As much as we are hot on the heels of getting like the biggest IP in the world, new IP is produced every day, and Veve can be a vehicle to break new ground. If you look back at the early days, there was a show called Kung Fu Pork Choppers that Al Khan was going to like was kind of like helping with. I believe it did blow up overseas. I don't know if it's made its turn to America with like everything that's been going on, but like, that is a show that I would have never known about had I not known about Veve, and that was like pre-Veve even. So I think that what we're going to see, not only like the new Spider-Man show and all these other shows that we're kind of talking about, slowly creep into Veve, but you might see the next biggest thing launch out of Veve, where you're getting exposed instantly to millions of people that are buying and collecting and like interacting with your brand. Like, that's insane. That's something that just could not exist before NFTs, and could not exist really in the same format that Veve does until now.
Agreed. I like, this is, the future generations, this is their back in the day. And even if they weren't nostalgic for it, let's say, 10, 20 years in the future, I feel like a lot of kids that get into this will be like, "Mom, can I get this? Because this is what they like now." So you don't even have to wait for the future. You could just...
Oh, correct. But the cool thing is, like, they're gonna have their Veve accounts and like, "Oh yeah, I used to be into that. Let me see." Like, log back into their Veve. "Oh my God, they've got this, and this. That's crazy." And then now, like, so now it's nostalgia from way back then, or for me, or whatever. And then, but it's also now nostalgia for, like, so it's, the blockchain is going to kind of keep it all possible and pristine in a way. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So David had mentioned on my stream that there's different tiers of brands, C, B, A, and A is like something that has like 50 million followers and plus. And he mentioned there's still a couple of those left, one of which would probably be announced. I would say either at San Diego Comic-Con or maybe a little after. They didn't want to, if they didn't want to mess it on the spotlight for San Diego. I was thinking like Harry Potter, because we have Universal and we have WB, or it could be like Lord of the Rings. What is one of your speculations on that maybe somebody hasn't thought of yet?
Yeah, I don't. Normally I would answer that question, but I don't. I haven't even put any thought in it, honestly. I'm just excited for everything that kind of comes. But I just have this weird feeling that, like, while we're saying like one day it would be cool if we get blank or we get blank, you zoom out and you realize we kind of have almost everything. Like, maybe not today, but it just seems like there just comes to a point where it's like, wow, we just have something for everyone is just something that was said, and it almost we almost have like we're waiting on maybe some car people might want more cars, some sports people might want some sports to drop. We have baseball stamps. No, I'm just kidding. But I think there's going to be lots more to come from all these kind of like niches. And if you zoom out, some of these things take time dealing with the licensors. Veve goes really, really fast. That is going to probably, like, people will lay into me for that. But like, all things considered, doing the tech, managing IP, producing content, iterating, like all of these things, the token system, like all these things, they are moving pretty fast, all things considered. But sometimes when they move not as fast, and I'm not bashing any IP or whatever, but like there's a lot that goes into that, where it's like we design it and it's got to be reviewed and reviewed. Even looking at like Slimer, the Slimer that we first saw a preview of compared to the Slimer that we got, it was completely like rebuilt from the ground up, and it ended up being way better. But like these IP have tons and tons of sign-offs and legal and all these other things that have to happen, and so just we're not privy to all of that, but it's all coming. I think everything's coming. If you zoom out to the like Bill and Ted with the Keanu Reeves likeness, that's due to us. But I'm sure because when you cross into someone's likeness, Keanu's probably got to sign off on that, right? So it's got to look the right way. And then we've got other things that were the LOL dolls and all these other. That's a huge IP. Like maybe not for like not me personally, but my kid. I have them in my home, and so it is a huge brand, whether you personally are into it or not. But yeah, all these things are coming, so it's going to be exciting. I think you've mentioned it on some of your podcasts, even like there's going to come a day. There was a day where we had a drop every 2 weeks. There was a drop there was a day where we didn't have a secondary to race to grab it if you didn't get it off a drop. That has all changed, and we barely remember it unless you were here super early. There's going to be a time where we barely remember not having a drop or multiple drops every single day. And so if all of those are kind of burning OMI to some degree, like that's where I think all of this kind of goes to. It all just works together. So
agreed. So whether you mentioned your home, because you have had a couple of posts recently about Spatial, and I don't know if that's the same thing as where you can have a frame and have your NFT in your frame, and it doesn't matter which way the frame is. If it's crooked, the NFT will still be straight. Tell us a little bit about Spatial, because I'm not too familiar, but I'm very curious.
Yeah, so I'm by no means like representing their brand or anything like that, but for my like 9 to 5, I was looking for a way to meet with my team virtually in like an asynchronous kind of virtual environment, and so I looked at a couple of pieces of software, and one of them was Spatial. So at the time, I knew them as like a way to jump in, have almost like multiplayer gaming, but I can build an avatar that looks like me. I can design spaces if I wanted to, and like make them to where we can like collaborate as a work thing. Time has passed, and now it seems like they're making a run for like a metaverse kind of place where people can hang out. And so you can jump on a web app, or you can jump on your phone. I believe you can even jump into VR, and I talk and you talk, and we're moving around. So like if you want like an early glimpse at what the Veveverse will likely have, this is a slice, I think, of what the Veveverse will have, where we can move around, we can see people's walls and exhibits. But for me, like I've been doing a lot of consulting with a bunch of like different metaverse projects, and I still think that we're doing it wrong. And so I've been trying to turn the tides a little bit of like, if Web3 is truly the evolution of Web2, we need the ability to have like links. And so Spatial does this by having like portals, right? Where I can teleport. If you have a Spatial and I have a Spatial and we're hanging out all the time, I can literally build a portal to your place in my place. And so not only can I jump in and then jump to yours, but people who come and visit my space, even if I'm not there, can jump into your space. And so that's cool to connect that. I think the next evolution, though, is the portal no longer is in Spatial. It's in Frogland, or it's in the Veveverse, where I can actually jump around from all of them to doing it. So I think that's a big thing. Making your avatar kind of consistent across all of them, or purposely unique if you choose to. Like, there's just a lot, I think, of underpinnings. Even like, how do we chat? If you're in Frogland and I'm in Spatial, or I'm in the Veveverse, how do we talk to each other? Like, do we have some kind of metaverse phone, or do we have like a text, like a global text? Or what if an event's going down and I'm in a headset? Like, how do I know? Like, all these things have to be kind of like sorted out, and that's kind of the big problems that I'm working with people to solve today. And yeah, I think it'll be great. Spatial, I think, did a cool thing by like connecting with the Veve folks, and A lot of them have taken into adopting to building spaces and stuff. I don't think it's as wild as Veve, because Veve has such crazy IP and showpieces and they're 3D, but Spatial has the ability to do that. Where I've seen some cool ones where they're dropping in like submarines and whales and like all these like random kind of like 3D objects and making the space their own. And I think where Spatial got used to is putting picture frames on walls. Like even in Sandbox or Decentraland, it's picture frames on walls. Like that is it. And I think that's cool. But I think the Veve folks have learned like, oh no, I don't put this shit in a frame. Like I scale it out beyond the wall and I tilt it, and now I've got a picture of the shark right here. Like we've got like creativity unlocked. And I think that coming into Spatial is making, I think, probably going to push Spatial a little bit further, because the Veve fam are just super creative people for the most part. And so it'll be cool to see that. I do have a call on the books tomorrow with them. And so we'll see what happens. But like, I'm not saying, oh, I've got a call with them. It's just to meet them, to give them ideas, to kind of find out what their needs are and stuff like that. And just, I think that Web3 is different than Web 2, because I think this is a hard lesson for many to learn. I love Veve probably more than anybody, but just because I think that Veve is going to be the king of things doesn't mean that I want Spatial to fail, or that Spatial winning takes anything away from Veve. I think they all work together, whereas it's a different way of doing business, I think, than where it's like, oh, I have to be the best and the number one, I'm going to crush my enemies and like buy out their company and do like, it's just not as cutthroat, because I think everyone's still building. And there might be a day where it does turn more cutthroat, but for right now, I think it's the more that we can interchange ideas or even build standards to where the Veveverse even can jump outside of the Veveverse in and of itself into other places, now almost benefits the Veveverse, because it's more interoperable from like all the way down kind of thing. Whereas you build these walled gardens that a lot of people are doing, it's a closed experience. And once we're being trained to consume content at a high rate, right? Like no one who's on episode 2 of Stranger Things. You guys on Stranger Things season episode 2?
I saw that episode literally 2, right? The day it came out. But you're on episode 2, right? And then 3 is after, like 3 next week we'll watch it, right? Or did you binge the whole fucking thing and not sleep? No, when it came out at like 3 a.m, I was up and I watched it that day.
Correct.
Like that.
As did I. As anybody. Like so. Like it's like, oh, the show is on. I must watch the show until there are no more episodes. Like that's where we've been trying to do. And so if your metaverse, in my opinion, is closed off, you're saying I'm going to feed you so much content that you're always happy and never want to leave. Or this is a place that's going to have some cool stuff, but hey, like go jump over there and see their content and give me some breathing room to create more, and vice versa. And like, I feel like you need them open, not because you're not going to lose by allowing people to leave. Otherwise, you're trapping them, and I feel like you've got a flaw there. The metaverse's power will become where, hey, we're going to go meet over here and listen to so-and-so speak. Then we're going to go to this concert here at this time, and then we're going to go race cars over here in the Veveverse. Like, people go outside and do different things. That doesn't mean that everything loses because someone's not physically there at that one time. It's going to be it's got to be open. It's got to be bigger than that. And so I hope that that's where everybody heads, because that's where it's fun and it allows certain places to shine at certain things instead of having to be your whole world. Because I think that's a tough bill to fill.
I really hope that, like, I see a lot of my videos where people focus on one or two things, and some things that I think are really important kind of fall through the cracks. And I hope that people paid attention to the last couple minutes of what you just said, because I think that is probably one of the most important things in this conversation, like the cooperation and interoperability between not just projects, NFTs, but their metaverses at large, having one avatar going from one place to the other. That's how a lot of us win. I mean, we're going to win anyway, but that's how it comes a lot quicker, mass adoption and stuff. Take a couple questions from the audience. How do you change the name of your Fiche?
Oh, good question. If you go into Fiches.com, like where you would change your tanks, in your menu, there's a customizer. That's kind of like your multi-tool for everything. Each fish then has like a ... If you click that, it'll pop up and ask you what you want to name it, and you can change it. So don't feel like, oh, I typoed it. I have to buy more fish. No, just change it again. It's fine.
Okay, good. All right, so it's so much fun and exciting. So what I have the I have I've had several meetings with a bunch of people the last few weeks on what I would deem as mistakes between that people were making on Web 2 that they are making currently, I think, on Web 3. What are some of the mistakes that you see as well that people or companies are making, that they might be backing the wrong horse, or they might be putting all their eggs into one basket type of deal?
So I think that like if someone's in the room and talking like they're an expert, self included, right? Like I've got a huge, like I've done a lot of things, but if they're talking like we've got it nailed, it's and then what they're building is like focusing on like Unreal or Unity instead of focusing on what are people going to do when they buy land, they're doing it wrong, right? Like that's the thing is like we've got this. The companies or the world is so like early as far as Web3. I know that's like a meme or whatever, but we're selling land. But then what do you fucking do with the land? Like that is yet to be solved. And so I think there's a lot of companies. I talk about Frogland because I think they put out a lot of things of like here's the land, and then here's how this is going to have a resource, and here's how this. And I think because of some of that, others are now kind of adopting it. But you have to push that even further. Of like, how do I take the wood that I earn in Frogland and then go and build with it over here? That's fucking cool, and that's how the world works, right? Like, so I think we're still just we keep doing this thing where we just don't zoom out enough and realize that like if we're really going to build this, it needs to be bigger. And so now's the time to kind of build the infrastructure on how do portals work, and they should all work across the board and have like a decentralized registry for if it's a .frogland whatever, it needs to go to this web client so I can easily flip between the two or whatever the case may be. Like that's where it needs to kind of we got to figure that stuff out. And then I just think it's I don't know, you have to look past like the cash grabs of the my company does mail and we're going to go and make a virtual metaverse for post offices because that's what people like. I don't think people need that. Instead, do the subway model where you go and buy land and build a post office that now works between all of the metaverse. Like that's where you go to innovate. And so I just think that, I would just be careful about investing right now in anything that seems like it's very buzzwordy and we plan to or whatever, and instead start asking like those questions like, well, how does this connect to over here? Oh, well, in the XYZ metaverse, you don't have to go anywhere. Like, okay, that's a trap. Like, that's like I built this house with no doors. Cool, yeah, let me buy that. And so I think that it just needs to go further. And so people originally were asking me when I started Fiches, and I'm not trying to like, this is not a 1 hour and a half shill for Fiches. Like, don't buy a fish if you don't want to. I don't care. But like, people were asking me like, can they breed? I'm like, no, I didn't want to really do the breeding thing because the shell game by breeding is like now I have to sell half as much because everyone's going to buy 2 to breed them, right? Yeah. Like, and so I wanted to do different stuff. Breeding's been explored. I'm not knocking things that I have projects that have bred and it's cool, but I think there's more that we can do. Similar for there's just other cash grab. Like, oh, are you going to sell land for Feesh land? If I do a metaverse type thing, it's going to be different. It's going to be like a pocket metaverse or something like that. I had an idea. I was looking at this company called Bueno, and they've got a micro metaverse kind of builder thing. And so
like Mario Maker?
Sort of, actually, yeah. But you can like upload your own assets for like walls, and like it's like top down almost like Zelda kind of play. And you can, I think that's cool because we're used to thinking it has to be 3D, and I think 2D could be just as cool, where you can move around on the screen and chat and go up to things and push buttons and whatnot. And so the cool thing about what I wanted to do with them is I wanted to build a high rise and have like 50 floors, and you could token gate every floor. And then I could sell tokens to this Fish high rise, and then everyone could decorate their own floor and do whatever. But I keep trying to. I was like, can I please get in beta? I have so many ideas, and I think they're just not ready yet. But those things are coming, where it's going to be like we went from building NFTs is very, very hard and needs lots of devs, to now there's like 50 tools that can build you an NFT collection. We're going to see similar with metaverses. But my worry is that we're going to crank out these metaverses that are not really metaverses. It's just multiplayer gaming rebranded, right? So I just think be cautious.
Okay. And the So what outside of Frogland and Veve, which companies with metaverses do you think are going to be the most cooperative, and which companies do you think like these guys are really selfish? They're probably not going to do that.
There's one that is ridiculous, and I don't know what they're. I think by design, no one knows what the hell's going on. But they're called nudes. I don't know if you've heard of this.
I have actually.
Human Park. It looks everything is like a skinless, like a faceless person, but you can get tattoos all over your naked, skinless person with no genitals. And I just think it's so ridiculous that that's going to work somehow. The team behind it, I believe, is connected to the company that made Zed Run. And so I think Zed Run is one where they've done things differently. And I think that that's going to be cool. And the graphics on that one, I think, are Unreal 5. And so that the graphics just look insane on top of being just a ridiculous concept of a faceless, skinless person. And they've got lore. They airdropped like obelisks to people, and then you can open your obelisk, and it might be this item or this item. So like, obviously they're stealing from Fiches. No, I'm just kidding. It looks cool, but I don't know how open it's going to be. We'll see. But yeah, I think that right now it's early. I think the problem is, even if they want to be open, we need to really kind of build this like conglomerate for metaverses to build standards of how does my doorway open up into your doorway, and how do those things go? And then what if I need to put like a age restriction to be compliant, like where if you pass this door, you got to be 13 or whatever, and those kinds of things. And I think there's another layer behind it that needs this decentralized identity, where even with Spatial, I was a little taken aback because I don't think they're fully. This is not a diss at them, but you can sign in with a wallet, but then it still asks you for an email. So then you're like like some people are turned off by that because you're connecting it to a Web 2, Web 3 thing. And so I can't be like fully anonymous and just be my wallet. So I think some standards around that need to change. And just, there's a lot of stuff we got to figure out. But with Fiches, I'm trying to push and push and push. And then from that have reference points for other people to point back. And I'm not going to solve everything. Like that's not me, but I'm happy to jump in the mix and try and help others solve things, because I think that that's how we, if we can come together and find a standard. I build 25% of something, somebody else builds 25%, other people build 50%. Now we're there, and now we've got this foundation that we can then share and use and focus more on what makes us unique and why people would want to come here, what they want to do, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel 5 different ways. Right. Yeah. So it's just same with HTML. Like no one owns HTML. It's just the language that we use for websites. No one should technically kind of own the underpinnings, especially in a decentralized environment, but we still have to build them. And so I think it's finding out where we want to go, what we want to do. And the cool thing is Veve's got a bunch of people that are screaming at them constantly. The benefit of that is like they're constantly telling people what they want. Right. And so I think that's why I'm so bullish on, I guess, on top of everything else, another reason why I'm so bullish on Veve is they've got a huge user base that's just screaming what they want. And so if they just build that and then push it even further with surprise and delight stuff, it's going to be a slam dunk.
I think we've had it pretty good having basically a party the last decade or so, with crypto being anonymous, a lot of people not paying taxes. And I think that, especially within the last couple of months, where a lot of stuff not necessarily being rug pulled, although some things being rug pulled, and some things being just absolute disasters like Terra Luna and stuff like that. And governments tend to have knee-jerk reactions to that type of thing. What are your concerns that the government might go and say like, hey, everything needs to be super centralized because the government needs to protect us, versus, hey, these bills are really outrageous and they probably won't pass, and what type of people, let's say like Gary Vaynerchuk, would be like lobbyists to try to prevent that? Is that a major concern for you, or is it whatever happens?
I think even recently we've learned that laws can change, unfortunately. But with that, I do think that I guess my biggest fear is that they don't have the right people in the room to educate them that it's not just JPEGs and it's not just like drug dealers that are using crypto. That people like, even me personally, have partaken in projects that have like helped change the world for people. There's better monetary policy, fiscal policy, all these things. Like you can inject capital right into individuals that are in need, or allow them to apply for micro grants and better themselves and then pay back that grant. Like this is a new way of doing business, of doing whatever. And it doesn't have to be like the rug pulls. to think that rug pulls are a crypto or blockchain thing, when before like people were, there's the story about the guy that sold like the Paris Tower, my brain's not working, the Eiffel Tower, like 5 times over to people. He was like hustling people, right?
Yeah.
Like scams have always been around. Crypto, I think, just is so new and so full of friction that it lets old scams work on unsuspecting people. And so as a side effect of the fish cord, like if you don't even buy a fish, just go to the fish cord. If you're curious about something or something doesn't sound right, ask. I'll answer you as long as I'm awake and able to, because I want everybody to be safe. Because the more that we can kind of like prepare audiences and stuff to get away from different scams and rug pulls and how to be smart with things, the easier all this kind of regulation comes and takes hold. And I think that people, of course, people, if they have the ability of like, hey, do you want to pay these taxes or no? Most people are like, no, no, thank you. I don't think so. But excuse me, if you can put up rails of, look, if you do this, this, and this, when you off ramp, we need that slice. Everything else, whatever. Or if you do this and not this, you're good. If you do this and then this, then you got to pay. Like just clear standards. Then we have the barriers that we can work between to try and innovate and really, make things better for everybody. I want to live in a world where you just pull up on your phone, biometrics in, and you can pull out your movie tickets and it's all right there, but it's also an NFT that you can keep forever and then display in your metaverse of showing where you went. And then also you could flick and donate to a cause if you choose to, because you've got a rollover account from your crypto dust. And like, these are the things where it's just easy and frictionless. We don't have designers coming in doing this because we're still doing like the upfront work for like the dev stuff. Yeah. It's all going to go away. The friction's all like, if you look at Veve, I've said this before, but like my 70-year-old mother can buy a Batman on Veve. My 70-year-old mother cannot buy a Fiche. And I've tried to make it easy, right? Like it's just, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so, but Veve is that beacon of hope where it's a balance between centralized and decentralized. And as they open it up to interoperability, as they open it to whatever, you're going to have kind of like the best of both worlds.
Yes, agreed. So somebody asked before, I can't find the comment, that they just got here, and did you mentioned a big name drop or a big surprise on the stream today? Is that something we have gone over already or no?
So I didn't say there would be a big partnership. I think you tried to say that.
Okay.
Hinting to see if I was with Veve, which I will just again reiterate. I am friendly with Veve. If Vive's like, yo, we want some Fiche, let's do it. But yeah, I'm not. Don't buy a Fiche if you only are buying it for Veve.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But also, I'll reiterate: if I was to ever do something with Veve, I would do it completely different than what you're used to. And I'll just leave it at that. Okay. And then, yeah, what was I gonna say? I did say that like people should prepare for something though. I did say that, and they should probably prepare for the airdrop that is coming this Friday. Is the snapshot. So if you have one Fiche, you get one airdrop, and then you should also prepare that if you have a Fiche, they might be open to being participating in the beta tournament that will go live Friday.
Okay. So there.
OMI.
All right. So I was going to mention this in the video tonight, but now I have you on. Yesterday, like last night, after I had already uploaded the video, you said, sorry, everyone, but you've got 24 hours to prepare for the giveaways, or I'm giving away 3 dope crypto crayon playmates. You need a Fiche to claim. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Crypto crayons is awesome, and I like of anybody like that I'm jealous of. I'm jealous of his creativity and talent. Been a supporter for a long time. He did a flash sale, and I kept missing them. Like he keeps doing them, and I keep missing them, and then I yell into the heavens saying like, "Why? I have notifications on. Why did I not know?" And so I was lucky enough yesterday to see it and catch it as they were slowly like disappearing, and I grabbed 4. Veve prepare. If you're from Veve and you're used to drops and doing all the panic and the sweaty palms that happens, you can use those skills on OpenSea, just so you know. So you can win the day on OpenSea if you're used to Veve. But anyway, so I grabbed 4 and I said, oh my gosh, I love all of these. What should I do? Probably just enjoy them forever, right? And my brain of wanting to just constantly give maximum value took 3 of the 4 that I bought, and I'm giving them away. So if you have a Fiche, you need one now. You can't just like join and then when I go to claim, ask for your wallet, buy one. Like that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If you have one, go to the Feesh cord, go to giveaways, and there's 3 giveaways. You just click the emoji, and then randomness will either reward you or not. But we do giveaways like all the time. I'm lucky enough to have a lot of artists that are really, really talented, and so when they do drops, I'll try and grab like 3. One for myself, one to kind of flip, and then one to give away. And the flipping just lets me keep going, like where I can keep buying them without taking a huge hit. But yeah, giveaways is a big part of Fiche, but no, it's random. So, and then yeah, that's it. Did you a while ago you asked about sweeping the floors? Was there another question there? I think we might have moved past it, but I swept the floor.
It was just asking if, because you sweep the floors of people that they're airdrops, and you give them back to the community, do you make sure that the people that you give them to are not the people that you bought them from? Just because you don't want to
we did answer that. No, I think that's too much. It's too complicated. Basically, the community, I think, if that happened, most of the time, I would almost guess that the community would be like, oh, I actually got my own airdrop back. I'm just going to give it to somebody. First person to say like 1, 2, 3, or drop their wallet. And so I'm sure the Fish cord, or keep it and resell it to me again, like when I sweep the floors again. I don't care. But the way that I'm able to do that is they're constantly, as I continue to airdrop these things, even if it starts off like, well, I got the most common thing. The most common thing back in December was like 1 of 200, right? Like, so that's pretty rare, especially now where we're at, and it's only going to keep getting more rare. And so people actually want those airdrops so that their tank can have a special thing or have this special type of functionality. And sometimes when you combine airdrops together, it unlocks a new thing. Like there's a lot of stuff. And so because of that, as people are buying, selling, trading, OpenSea takes like a fee that I get as a royalty, and it's 5%, which is like, I made it really low. So I take all those 5%, and once it fills up enough, I just go and sweep the floors. And so if you've got a bunch of the same ones, just put it at the floor. Eventually I will buy it and give it away, because I'm not trying to make profit. Other than the only thing I take is the base fish cost. Everything else just somehow in one shape or the other goes back.
So in the OMI burn, I think whatever goes into that, so obviously if you have, let's say a million OMI match, 1 million versus 1 million, you would take 10% of the total, which would be about 200,000, and out of that 200,000, half is burned, correct, and the other 100,000 goes into prize pools. Correct.
Correct. Yep.
How much do you anticipate being burned by end of the year?
I think I was running numbers, and so end of the year might be hard to quantify. But I was looking at, because I was putting in, for example, I think as of right now, the number 1 fish from the tournament that has the most points by the end of it will take home 14% of the total prize pool. Second place will get 10%, and it just keeps scaling down based on that. And then also, even if you're not good at the game, 20 people are winning a percentage of the prize pool at random. So like, even if you didn't win, you could, even if you did win, you could also win too. And so that there's the prize pool. I'm taking 0. It all just goes back out the door. I'm also preceding it with 2 million OMI. So it's not like I'm just giving money away if you play. And then so then the way that it'll work is 5 free matches a day. I'm going to circle back around to your question. 5 free matches a day, and then you can pay OMI $1 match in OMI up to 5 more matches per day. And so the max is you can try 10 times in the ranked. You can play unlimited. You can play unlimited wager matches, but for the ranked, you can play up to 10. That keeps it like people abusing it and just playing 9 nonstop and outpacing everybody else. It just keeps it fair from that point, right? And so those paid matches, if every day 500 people pay 5 matches throughout the 20 days of the tournament or whatever for this phase. Normally there'll be one, like a full month. This one will be like an accelerated half kind of tournament. I believe the prize pool will be up to 17 million, and we would have burned like 15 million.
That's awesome.
So that's a half a tournament. But if we extended it out, it would be even bigger. If it's, again, 500 daily players paying $1 a match 5 times, so $5 a day. But then, so yeah, if you take that, If you double that to where if we burned 15 million and we doubled it to 30 million, and that's at 500 people, and there's play to earn mechanics coming in after this too, where you actually take a slice of those takes and stuff like that. For this tournament, there's no pay to earn; it just all goes to the prize pool. But after the tournament's solid, beta tested is good, then play to earn comes in. So anyway, all of that stuff, we would burn 30 million in OMI a month times 12.
Okay. And Jesus.
And that's if it only stays at 500 people.
Yeah, my God. Yeah, that is probably going to grow. Like I said, I talked to everyone about it. What is does any part of you think that, when OMI gets to what it rightfully should be when we're in, the next bull market, or even the bull market after, before 2030, that you would have possibly burned tens of millions of dollars?
Probably, yeah.
Does that ever make you feel a certain type of way? Like, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Smile. I don't know. but like, it's not, the game's not just like the burning. So like, I could have made it like, I made this really cool game, and guess what? I'm taking 50% of it, and I win, but that doesn't help everyone win. Yeah. And so if I'm burning tens of millions or whatever, then that's to OMI that I'm taking out of circulation forever. Like that, we're sharing in the win instead of me winning. Right? Like I could win, and someone was talking, like, it's basically saying like, oh, your project's only sold like a quarter of the way. Like if I was designing it to sell out, I would have done it completely different. Like this is meant to be a slow roll, like no FOMO thing. And people either they see value, they tell people who then join and eventually see the value and then tell them, like, it's slowly building. To put it into perspective, like we used to sell like 100 fish a month a couple months ago. We sold 100 fish in like 2 days, in the past 2 days, right? So it's not about sales for me. It's more about just making sure everyone's enjoying themselves and feeling the value. But again, I could for the time that I'm putting into Fiches, I could put that elsewhere and make money. That's not the goal. The goal is to push the industry further, have something to point to that is like, this was a fun experience. And hopefully people take my project, steal things that they think are cool, and remix them into something even cooler. Like that would be great to see, right? Like, so yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to, we got a few minutes left. Do you want to do some FUD busting real quick?
Sure. Oh, I think I did say there was a big announcement coming. So it is not my announcement. Sorry, I was scratching my brain of like where that came from. Okay. We backed a movie. And so every fish holder collectively is an executive producer in a film. I believe, and this is wild speculation, they've cut a deal for distribution. And so what's going to happen is that movie potentially will be in theaters nationwide or globally. And then the Fiches, as executive producers, will be on the big screen everywhere. So
probably next year that movie would come out?
I don't know. They just wrapped. They're in post right now. So
okay.
There's a channel in the Fiche Cord called Fiches Go to Hollywood, I think it is, and it has all the updates. Like, so you can see all the behind the scenes, all the videos. I think they're putting out a press release soon. My guess is, because there were I think at least 2 like movie companies that were like wanted to talk to them because they were the highest grossing or the highest raise of any movie in that genre. And so it's just been a big story, and Fiches is a part of it.
That's amazing. That's so cool. If that thing works out with me and Darcy Donovan and I go to Hollywood, I'll try to get Fiches in there as well. I'll try to be like a scene where I'm playing with.
I will get you a Fiches shirt. I will get you like whatever you need. Like, let's make this happen. Let's subtly just put Fiches in everything we can. It'll be hilarious.
Get everywhere.
Get tattooed. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, somebody's getting a tattoo of Fiche. Somebody got a tattoo of the real Randy Chavez, like the name, like a year and a half ago. I thought that was really interesting. That's crazy. You'll get one as well. Like you'll 100% they'll have they'll have statues of you somewhere in the VV-verse.
Yeah, I don't know. Not necessary. If you want to, go for it. But like, I'm just a bread cat from space, just like all the other ones.
So there is I don't know how people are misconstruing this as FUD. That Veve had done something with called Disney Accelerator, and with Disney Accelerator is that
accelerators. Just so people know, accelerators is when a big company puts money into smaller companies saying, hey, we're going to take a small bet on you. And if you make anything cool, we get either first dibs or exclusive rights, or we're not going to pay you because we are paying you now for you to figure that out. So they're basically saying, hey, go see what sticks. Veve is a real partner that actually is doing other stuff with a clear line, a clear trajectory. Veve is not an accelerator thing. Like that's why there's a difference.
And also, like I said, these are companies that didn't have a relationship with Disney and need some of their expertise, brand, and a lot of their leverage to grow, whereas Veve has a pre-existing relationship with Disney dating for years back.
Correct.
So yeah, like I said, I very much do enjoy the FUD busting there. It wouldn't make much sense for Disney to be. I would be worried if Veve was part of that.
Yes,
because
the reverse though is these companies may like develop something that allows you to do XYZ with NFTs or AR in the parks that you don't need glasses for. Is something that Disney's actually already kind of like patented or whatever. That now bubbles up into what Veve could do, and now it's even bigger. Like, so this is, in a way, this could help Veve if they do come up with something.
Yeah, same. And I think that a lot of this, because Disney and Veve, they're not really marketing their relationship. I think this is Disney kind of going to their shareholders and saying like, hey, we are relevant and we are in Web3, even though we're not advertising it, right? This is their way of advertising that they're in Web3 without advertising with Veve, which I think will probably come well before the end of the year.
It also builds a path for scrappy small companies to go in now to the accelerator, where Disney has them coming to them instead of others. Like, this is a strategic move, but it doesn't discredit like their actual partners, right? So like, I don't know. If you're upset about it, I'm sorry. I'm not.
Yeah, I feel you. So anyway, that'll be it for today. Anything else that you wanted to go over with people? Anything you wanted to say to everyone here?
Like, I'm just getting started, but I'm sure that Veve and Ecomi could probably say the same thing. So, if you're feeling nervous because it's your first bear market, or you're feeling nervous because collectibles are down, there's a time where Todd's went to 800 and then dropped down to like 100, and we freaked out then too. Just like there was a time where Bitcoin went to 100 and went back to like $3. Like, it's just, you can't have the future value immediately.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. So like, sometimes you got to take a breath, go outside, zoom out if you're able to. But with a lot of these things, with Veve specifically, we don't have parallels, because even other NFTs are not the Veve NFTs that are AR, that can move, that animate, that have sound, that are completely from the largest IPs in the world. So that's tough. But I came from a world where, looking at like the Steam marketplace and these items, like, I never played like World of Warcraft, so that's probably another data point that someone else can chime in with. But I played a lot of Team Fortress 2, and those hats in that game are worth real money. But you had to do a bunch of like side things. So like, looking at those markets and how some of them are so rare and some of them are just so common, and how that market has moved and evolved over 10 years, and Veve's in like year 2, right? So just know that it's tough to zoom out. I get it, but it's all gonna probably be okay.
And Veve's got a lot more money than a lot of other companies. Like, they've got a lot more money coming in. They're just getting, and now
they're smarter about it too. Like, I mean, getting a lot of money, like, even if they took like some crazy like multi-million dollar, like $100 and some odd million, right? Like, yeah, they could take a slice of that and hire a bunch of devs, and then that would be supportive to have them to where, like, I've managed dev teams, I've been on dev teams, like, I've done it all. Like, you take like a bunch of devs and you break them up into clusters. Like, as much as people are saying like, this timeline, Veve will never do it. They're saying it's going to happen here, but it'll take, like, they're going now where they're doing a lot of juggling, and that can have a lot of like transitional time lost, a lot of context switching loss. Sometimes they might deliver something, but they need somebody else's, like a partner's sign off to like, there's just things you don't probably know, things I don't probably know, all these things. But you could if they had that kind of capital and they injected into hiring the right people, breaking them up into clusters, you could have team on NFT to OMI, and OMI to NFT, team to staking, team to this, team to that. This can accelerate really, really quickly with some of the capital that they're doing. You've said before that they could go out and do a raise if they wanted to. Like, I don't know.
easily.
I think it's all going to be okay. And like I said, I bought like 20 more million OMI like in the last like month or so. Like I'm doing that because I believe, like, and I'm not saying that to like brag. I'm saying that like I am pretty confident just based off the difference between MCP to OUP, the difference of like, you know, let's say my game does burn like 30 million a month, right, of OMI. That's going to help. But what if I release a library that helps other people make games or metaverses or whatever that uses all the stuff that I cut my teeth doing all the IMX integrations? I make it easier. And now we've got not just mine, but we've got 10 games or 10 games and 5 metaverses or, you know, different marketplaces that are all accepting and using OMI and burning it's all got baked in a burn mechanism. Now you've got the bonfire of Veve plus almost like a secondary bonfire burning. So the tokenomics, I think what we had before, a lot of people thought were a perfect picture. I think that sometimes when we walk away like, oh wait, that just doesn't work, and I should do it over and make something even better. And then now it's kind of going to be like the masterpiece sometimes when you do it over again. So
yeah,
let's just see what happens.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much for coming by today. It's always an amazing conversation. I'll talk to you a little bit off camera, but everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. Thank you all for the comments and the super chats, the all my bays. I love you. Goodbye. Meow, 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 meow. Woof.